What's up, everybody? My name is Lee Shaner, and you're tuned into You Feel Me. What's up? Here I am in your hometown. Every time I've seen you, you've been in my hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very humid here.
It is. This is a new thing for us. Like
humidity is a new thing. I feel
no, not humidity per se, but the level of humidity this week. You are coming.
I walked out of the hotel room and I felt like I was back in the shower.
Yes, swimming.
Started sweating immediately. Couldn't breathe. No.
Welcome to Philadelphia.
Yeah. How do you have a jacket on? I'm like, wow.
It was raining.
Oh, it's raining now?
Yeah, it was like raining.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has been in like the 90s, huh?
Yeah, it's been like high 80s, low 90s, and 90 to 100% humidity all week. At least you're getting cloud cover, because literally yesterday it was full on sun.
Yeah. This weekend while we're here is like the Made in America Fest. Does Philadelphia get like super packed for the weekend or what?
Yes, it does. I'm fully expecting to not want to leave my house this weekend.
Yeah. You're not going to the festivities?
Probably not. I love Made in America, and I've been like 3 or 4 times, and it's only been around for like 5 years, so I've only missed like 1 or 2 of them. Mm-hmm. But this year I am tired and would rather be indoors with air conditioning rather than dusty and like sweating with large crowds of people.
So sweating. We're downtown in Philadelphia. We're like right in the center. It's the city center, literally, right?
Literally.
Yeah. How far from here do you live?
Not far. I live in West Philly.
Yeah.
So like
were you born and raised in the playground? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, sorry. Had to get that out of my system. So yeah, West Philly. How far is that from here? About
like 15 minutes.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. What is West Philadelphia like nowadays?
It depends on where you are, but it's extremely residential.
Yeah. Row houses. That's what I picture everything in Philadelphia being.
Yes, lots and lots and lots of row houses, lots of parks.
Yeah.
You know, in New York they call them bodegas, but we call them poppy stores here. I'm sure that's slightly racist, so
I'm just gonna say that seems to have some connotations.
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize in advance, but it is the local lingo.
Yeah, so. The colloquialisms.
Yes, the colloquialisms.
Yeah, right. Poppy stores. And so you get like a cheesesteak at your poppy store?
Yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You're not supposed to go to the
Geno's
or the Pats or whatever. The only place that I can stand by is Ishkabibbles. Ishkabibbles is like a legitimate South Street like staple. Yeah. It has the best fries, and it also has this very, very sweet and a little bit terrifying drink called the Gremlin.
What's the Gremlin?
It's grape juice and they're gonna be upset. Grape juice and I think like lemonade. And it literally is sugar in a cup.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Sounds
everybody should go.
I love that. Diabetes in a cup. Just
100%.
Suck it up. Welcome to You Feel Me, brought to you by Ishkabibbles. Everybody go try it. No. How long you been in Philadelphia now?
I've been in Philly for 7 years now.
Yeah.
It does not feel like the longest time, but it has been almost a decade, which is crazy.
But 7 years of like probably some of the most formative years of your life too.
Yes.
Right.
I consider myself Charlotte born and raised, but Philly made.
Yeah.
So like Philly is where I like became an adult, like literally from 18 years.
You got out here to start college, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And does it feel like home now?
Absolutely.
Could you see yourself living anywhere else?
LA has made its bid a couple times just because of how beautiful.
Because you love being in close proximity to your boy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't really see myself in New York, although I do really, really enjoy like visiting Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Philly's just amazing because it's so affordable.
Mm-hmm.
The arts community is amazing. And like I can get to New York in 2 hours.
Right.
Tops.
What is it about being a creative that like the only options seem to be LA or New York? Like those are the only, like, could you live anywhere else? And you're like, well, there's LA and there's New York. Like,
yeah, I think of Europe as a more viable option than those cities sometimes.
Really?
So like Berlin or London would be nice. I've always like had this really random dream to live in Paris for a couple months and really like nail.
Have you ever been?
French? No, I haven't yet.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
Yeah.
I literally heard. Everyone tells me that I have to go. So hopefully by the end of the year, maybe early 2019. make a move.
We've been saving. That's where we're gonna go on our honeymoon. Is to France.
Casual.
Yeah. So we've been putting away our little.
You're about to be on the south of France, just living it up.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so. Just in a yacht, like
just a little like casual yacht.
Yeah.
Low key.
It's easy. Just that's that Skullcandy money. You feel me? Like yacht money. No. Do you ever get to go back home?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm home probably 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah. Oh, really? That much?
Mm-hmm.
How long of a flight is it from to?
Hour and a half.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, it's super easy. The drive is trash. It's like 9 hours, but like, flight is amazing. Shout out to all the airlines that do direct.
Yeah.
American, Delta. I'm looking for a sponsorship.
Get that sponsorship, Delta MVP.
Y'all just let me know.
Yeah. Mom's still there?
Yeah. Family, like most of my family's still in Charlotte.
Yeah. Right. So let's talk about the music stuff, man.
Woo.
Yeah. Last I spoke to you, I mean, you were like a relatively new artist. You had put out a couple EPs, and now things are getting a little more serious for you. I'm sure as time goes on, it becomes a bigger and bigger part of your life,
Yes.
And I just am curious to be updated about the independent hustle, because you have stayed independent and you're like doing it yourself and figuring it out. So these days, what does that take?
Lots of planning, a lot of bootstrapping, a lot of negotiating with my fellow creatives in order to be able to fit things into a budget, and also like sticking to the budget once I make one, which is very difficult for me because I just like to make the best thing possible rather than make whatever is within my means. So we just finished an album. It's called Overgrown. It's dropping on September the 18th, which is pretty exciting. I'm really like happy with how it's turning out. We're getting a lot of good reception on the singles, Roller Coaster and Backwoods.
Videos fire.
Thank you.
You out here dancing?
I'm out here busting really a move.
Giving me like 90s vibes, like very video vixen-y kind of. I was like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, we're just we're trying to bust out of our comfort zones in every way, shape, and form.
I mean, you look so fucking cool in that video. I was very proud watching. I was like, wow, look how cool she is. Like, and the just the lighting on you and everything, and the dance moves and the outfits. I was like, damn, this is a very well thought out performance video.
Yeah, we really it took a village. So I have to shout out Rec Philly, particularly Will Toms, which is an artist creative services company merged with like a tech company. So they're like really, really cool, doing a lot of amazing things in Philly.
And then you got like the most Philadelphia ass shots of everybody on motorbikes and four-wheelers and all that. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was like low-key a shout out to Meek, because
I was like, you got Meek's crew in the video.
Exactly, because I think Philly really rallied around. Like Philly loves Meek. Like Meek is our crown prince.
My first cousins live here. Like both my my shout out my cousin Tyler. He fucking loves Meek Mill. Yes. Like because he's just a Philly ass dude.
Yeah, no. So we were trying to be like, mostly because the judge was a complete douche and
making an example. Of him,
making an example of him without really cause.
Right.
And it was like a subtle nod to just be like, there's really no reason to criminalize something that people get so much enjoyment out of, especially if they're being safe while they're doing it.
Right. Well, I mean, you do it in Philadelphia, it's a criminal act. You do that in Alaska, where I'm from, and that's like how you get to the store. You know what I mean? Or that's how you get to the hunt. So it's just, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like, and also, like, obviously I'm from a rural area. North Carolina is, like, we have four-wheelers and dirt bikes, and it's just a way of life. So, like, it's funny how, like, a change in location can, like, change the meaning of something.
Well, and also a change in the skin color of the people doing it.
I mean, 100%.
Right. 100%. That's like really what it's about.
Yeah.
I think. But
I mean, I think that, there have been like lots of like accidents and, people have like lost lives and whatnot. But on the other hand, like 9 times out of 10, there's just like a way to put a couple more people in jail, which is it's pretty trash.
Yeah. I mean, white people hate to see black people having fun for some reason. It's a historical thing here.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I like smiling, and laughing.
Me too.
Being joyful and merry. So.
So getting back to the music stuff, sorry, I go straight to like the politics real fast.
Literally,
I always do that.
We do this a lot.
I know, my bad. Back to like the music hustle. How much at this point, now that you've been doing it for a while, how much at this point is the business side that you have to handle, and how much do you get to be like making the music? And as a follow-up to that question, when you were starting, did you think it was going to be all about the music and the business stuff would just kind of like do itself?
I think I've always known that the business was something that I wanted to be involved with. So it's never felt like a burden per se. I also went to school for business, went to school for marketing. So this was something that I was interested in and wanted to be hands-on with. It's still something I'm extremely hands-on with. I like to think of myself as like a co-manager rather than being like a sole, like an artist being managed, which like lends itself very well to my manager dynamic. Ethan
shout out Ethan.
Yeah, shout out to Ethan Tomas. But yeah, we work well because I'm able to do the business stuff just as well as he is. So being able to balance those things is very, very important for our dynamic. And I think that if I was just doing the music, I would probably get overwhelmed with just like the creative process. So I like being able to do things that are very minute and
sometimes there's like a
routine. Like it's just like filling out a form is like sometimes really great.
Yeah.
Like it's sometimes really the worst, but sometimes it's nice to just be like, what's my name? What's my birthday? What's my social security number?
I'm the same way. Like I really feel like sometimes chores are the easiest way to just kind of ground myself. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. A chore. I can finally like stop thinking. I can turn my brain off for a little bit. Cause the creative part of creating, it's a vast void that you're trying to fill. Like who knows what's next with it. Whereas it's like, oh yeah, I got to fill out a tax form. Chill.
Yes,
I love that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
That's so funny. I've never talked to somebody who's like felt that same way about
We're
that.
right here.
Yeah, for
Right
real.
here.
So what's the day-to-day like for you?
Day-to-day, I'm still actually part-time at my old job.
Yeah.
Or not my old job, my job.
Yeah.
At the University of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Been working at our Black Cultural Center. Shout out to my crew.
How's that?
Super amazing, mostly because like it's really, really flexible. And I do a lot of work outside of the actual office.
Nice.
Yeah, but I'm moving, like we're quickly moving towards not having a day job anymore. So I'm still in the interim right now. Day to day is like sometimes I'm in the office, sometimes I'm in Portland, Maine for Waking Windows Festival in a couple weeks, or like sometimes I'm in the office, sometimes I'm in LA hanging out with you and taking photos. And
what does the Black Cultural Center at UPenn do?
We do a lot of stuff. We do academic advising. We do professional development. We put on events particularly for the Black community at Penn, but also the Penn community at large. We collaborate with the other cultural centers at Penn. So La Casa Latina, the Pan Asian House, which is called Patch, the Greenfield Intercultural Center, the LGBT House. Like we're just doing a lot of stuff.
Nice.
With a lot of folks. Just trying to make Penn into a place that benefits all of our students.
Is Penn
rather than some of our students?
Is it a diverse university?
That really I diverse is such a difficult word for me.
Okay, why?
Because diversity to me is reflective of the community and or society that we live in.
Right.
Philly is a very, very, very black city.
Oh, okay.
Like extremely black, and Penn does not reflect that. And in some ways that is like by design. So like there are things like pilots, which is like payments in lieu of taxes that Penn doesn't pay. Like Penn is like the biggest employer in the city of Philadelphia, doesn't pay any taxes to the city, which is like a very political, very like controversial topic. But a lot of the things that Penn takes from the city, it doesn't end up giving back, including but not limited to entrance and admission into the university. So like we have a lot of students from Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, but not a lot of them are black, which is problematic in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly because like a Penn diploma can change someone's life. It has definitely changed my life. So like I know that more Philadelphians, particularly black Philadelphians, would be served by gaining access to a place like Penn.
And so does the department you work for help with initiatives to make that happen?
Absolutely. We help with recruiting. We help with admissions, with like seeking out folks. We help. And then like more importantly, in my opinion, is making sure that people graduate once they get there. Because, you know, like getting into Penn is just one step. Like making it through those 4 to 6 years is really where. And
particularly that kind of big fish, little fish syndrome. Like you're probably the smartest kid at your school. And then when you get to Penn, you're just another fish in the sea. And it's very intimidating all of a sudden to just be another face in the crowd.
Yeah. And then I think higher education is kind of at an impasse right now where they are trying to figure out what they want from their universities and what they are ethically required to give. And I think in a lot of universities, and Penn being one of them, teaching versus like research is a huge thing. So like you get a professor that's like at the top tier of his research, but he can't teach for shit. So like figuring out how they manage both of those things, like because you have to prepare your students for the next stage of their career, but you also want to support the research of this professor, and sometimes those two things are
not conducive.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. While you were a student, did you work closely with the department you work for now?
I did. I was a work study student for Maku while I was there. I also worked for the Vitali Digital Media Lab, which is a lab that teaches you all about photography, videography, graphic design, like basically the entire Adobe Creative Suite.
Yeah.
So like,
because you were like, yo, I need music videos. Let me learn
low key,
this.
man. Like, I was just trying to get as much from Penn as humanly possible.
Of course.
While I was there.
Yeah. So now that you're on the other side of it, working in the office, helping incoming students that probably going through very similar things to what you were going through, is that kind of a soul satisfying thing for you?
100%. Yeah. It's also nice because I think that alumni often take a break from the university because we give so much to the university, right? Like you gave 4-5 years of your life, you gave
a bunch of money,
stupid amounts of money that you're probably still paying back
forever.
So a lot of times, like at least for Penn, like people don't want to come back for like homecoming, people don't want to come back for events and such. So me being there is a way for me to like kind of just do it all in one fell swoop. Like just, here you go, kids. Like get this academic advising, get this professional development, be friends with me so I can tell you like the non like PC stuff that you need to know about Penn that can just be a thing.
Yeah. Now that you're still there on campus, I mean, do you see postgraduate stuff in your future?
That's a great question. I would love to get a doctorate in musicology. Yeah. Like in Africana studies.
Do you already have a master's degree? I forget.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was considering it, but I have this belief that every time I try to do something other than music, music goes really, really well. So like the universe was like, oh, you're trying to get a master's degree? Bet.
Yeah. So then
let me take you on tour.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh, damn, I guess I don't have time to apply for this master's. Right. Or most recently, I was like, I'm going to apply for the fucking Fulbright, bro. Like, I'm going to apply for the Fulbright.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
The Fulbright is a fellowship that you go to really any country in the world. And either you teach English or you do a research project. Okay. And they pay for you to do it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking apply for a Fulbright. Like, why not? Like, I'm smart. I can do things. And then, like, I was able to get the show at the Pima and, like, start an album and do a whole bunch of cool shit. And I was like, looks like I still, like, it looks like a rapper is still in the cards, huh? Yeah. Let me just do this whole rapper thing as best as I can so I don't fill my brain with needing to pad my resume anymore.
Is it really hard being like really smart and really creative? Like, is it? I mean, isn't it like kind of? It's just hard for the mental health because you have things pulling you different ways, and when you're really kind of good at anything you set your mind to, it's hard to choose something to set your mind to, right?
Yeah, I think it's super difficult also because I still suffered, and I think the album was part of me kind of coming to terms with that. I still suffer with like comparing myself to my peers and my friends because my friends are amazing, right? So like my friends, like I'm one of the only people that's not going to have like a post-secondary degree soon. Like I'm one of the only people that isn't in some type of like business school or getting
Law
their
school
D school or like
medical
freaking med school.
Yeah.
Like people are about to be doctors and lawyers and dentists and shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a rapper.
Well, at least
And
you're not going to be a dentist.
Right.
Just kidding.
But like it, it feels like in my mind sometimes it feels like, damn, like am I really doing anything? And then I'm like, I'm doing what I want to do, and I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's kind of the balance.
And that's very important for soul satisfaction, I think. And also, it takes a long time. It takes a long time. A lot of people that are in med school, they're doing it because their parents want them to be there or whatever. Like, and even that, it takes a long time before that pays itself off. So like, at least you're doing something that is gratifying to you.
Yeah.
And even if it takes a while to pay off, like you're not gonna look back and go, "Oh, I wish I would have tried harder at that." You know, you're doing it. You're trying. Something that we've talked about a lot in the past is kind of like, particularly just being like smart enough to be too self-aware, is this imposter syndrome that you get with like the artistry and going like, oh, is this like, am I really an artist? Or, you know, because you are also a scholar and so many different things. So like, how have you been dealing with that? Because we've talked about it in the past.
Have I been dealing with
Have you been dealing with it? You still feel it?
No, I feel less like an imposter, mostly because people are starting to defer to me rather than question me. And I don't mind being questioned. It's just like for a while it was like, damn guys, like I kind of know what I'm talking about. You should believe me. And now people see the work that I've done. And I guess like other people have been like legitimizing me and like making me more of like not an expert, but like just like I guess my stature has increased in the industry.
Right.
So
because we've talked about it in the past where like when like I always say, when you're good enough to, or when you're like smart enough to teach yourself whatever you want to learn, sometimes when you teach yourself to make music, it can feel like, oh, I approached this from a scholarly manner, and it's just me like doing the motions of artistry and not a real artist. And I've told you like kind of unsolicited, like, yo, all that shit about you growing up feeling like you're weird and feeling like you're different, like that's the artistry. Like you are different, you are an artist. Like people, even no matter what you think about yourself, people are gonna look at you and you know you are an artist.
Luckily I've just been really, really liking the music that I'm making. I think so. I think that's also part of it, right? So like I think that I had lingering doubts about like the music that I was making. Like other people were like, yeah, like this is good, and I was like, like it's close to what I want, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. And I think that Overgrown in particular, like start to finish, is the first album where I'm like, nah, like this is exactly what I wanted it to sound like. This is exactly what I wanted it to say, and like I have no issue putting it on for anybody. And they ask me a question about a song and I can answer it, and it just feels like maybe it's like a level of comfortability with the music, but or maybe just like believing in the music more. I don't know, but
it's probably a little bit of being comfortable with yourself as well. Yeah,
just like growing, like I guess growing up into the artistry, just like growing into like knowing that like this is your shit, and you just want to do it.
As an independent artist, you know, I got a friend, Mike Eagle. You heard of Mike Eagle?
Of course.
He had this article that came out in Pitchfork about like the budget of being an independent artist, right? And how it costs money to make songs feel how you want them to feel. And I know about that because like I've recorded songs in a fucking copy shop where we had to turn all the machines off to stop the buzzing, you know what I mean? And we built a soundproof booth just because like that was where the fastest computer was. Like, so like recording on a budget is a real thing. And to make songs sound big and sound expensive, it takes a lot of kind of I don't know, creativity, I guess. So like with this album being able to satisfy what you've been looking for and how you've been wanting it to sound, did you have to spend more money or did you just get more creative?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I am extremely, extremely, extremely blessed and grateful to Crow, this rapper out of Germany, who was willing to executive produce the album along with me and Ethan. And he allowed me and my friends into his home for 2 weeks in January. In Germany.
Oh,
yeah,
sick.
that's where we did the album.
That's in Berlin?
It's actually in Stuttgart, so
okay,
like maybe an hour out of Frankfurt.
Yeah. So is that what has you like, oh, maybe I should move overseas for a while?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Mostly because I love Germany. Like everything works. Like like trains are never late. People are nice.
Really?
I like it a lot. Love Berlin.
It's so wild that Germans are nice because their language is so angry sounding. They sound mean.
What's funny is like because Carlo does a lot of hybrid of hip hop and R&B. Like I've come to love the sound of like German being sung, which is something that I never thought I would say ever. But yeah, so like
so you're over there for 2 weeks, and how is the process different than it's been before?
I don't think I've ever spent 2 weeks like consecutively on music. It's always been like, let me like write, save up all my money for one studio session, record everything in a marathon session, and then do it again. So it was nice to like, first of all, show up with nothing and kind of like put
you guys made
fire,
the whole thing in 2 weeks.
Put fire under my ass to be like, no, you're gonna write it right now. Like, no, you're gonna like edit it right now. Like, no, you're not gonna like take your time, or you're gonna take your time with it, but you're not gonna take forever because you have a deadline that you have to meet. He was like super instrumental in getting artists and musicians to come from like Berlin and Munich to his house. A lot of his background singers were able to come through, and obviously like I paid him, but like it was significantly less than I would have paid for an American studio. Right. I just had to pay for us to get there.
And so these background singers, are you have to teach them like phonetically what they're singing, or like do they speak English?
Like, I mean, they speak English, but it's not like perfect. So you just kind of have to. Like they just sing.
Because I always heard the Scorpions, this old rock band. They're German, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard they were just singing phonetically, like they didn't understand any of the words that they were singing. Yeah, and they're like huge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I did the same thing. So on Carlo's last album, it's called True, and I sang
in German.
Yeah. Have no idea what I'm saying. I'm sure it's fire though. Yeah. It sounds fire.
That's like, or they're just like telling you syllable by syllable. Yes. Here's what you say.
100%.
That's so funny. That's tight.
Just punching it in.
And so while you're there, he's bringing in singers. Is he bringing in live instrumentation as well?
Yeah. So there's this dude named Tony. Yeah. Who plays keys on Still Wasted Interlude and on Parables, and he literally came in and just started like playing the most like fire neo soul R&B freaking Robert Glasper-esque keys, and I'm just like, this is amazing.
Nice.
This is amazing.
So does this record rely less on samples and stuff then?
Yeah, it relies a lot less on samples, mostly because like I can't get away with that shit no more.
Yeah.
Like hopefully like it's a good thing, right? So like it's like like I'm getting to the point where like people are actually listening to the music, so like people will recognize when I'm using samples.
Of course.
But on the other hand, it's like, damn, like samples are amazing, and that's like kind of my bread and butter as far as my own production is concerned. So moving away from that was definitely, I won't say a struggle, but it like required you to think about production a little bit differently. Would
you guys maybe start with the sample so you kind of get a vibe, and then add the instruments and start until you could start stripping away the sample? Yeah,
precisely. And that's for like several songs, and then a lot of like vocal samples, like we'd just sing it differently.
Re-sing it.
Yeah, just like sing it differently, which is something that I knew people did, but like doing it in practice is definitely an interesting process to be in. And then, so the people that ended up going were obviously Ethan, Cam De La, who produced Lost in Life. Lost being what I
Lost in I know. I know that song.
Word. And then Corey Smith West, who did basically 8 out of the 12 tracks on Eden. So we went out and got her done.
Yeah. I noticed on Roller Coaster, I don't know, maybe this is me projecting, but I feel like mid 90s vibes, or like late 90s vibes maybe, of like Missy and Timbaland. And is that like a big influence for you, and was that what you were shooting for in that song, or did it just kind of come out that way?
I wanted to live out a childhood fantasy of being in an Aaliyah video.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say too.
And I want to be really honest in saying that I think I fucking killed that.
Yeah,
shit.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, like, it kind of reminded me of like an old Aaliyah video.
Yeah,
you know,
like, so
throw a camouflage bandana on, and that's an Aaliyah video.
Feel me? Yeah. You feel me? Yeah. So literally, when I was like writing the treatment, because I write all the treatments for my videos, I had the references for Aaliyah's "Tell Me You're That Somebody" and even Gwen Stefani.
Oh yeah.
"Let Me Blow Your Mind."
Yeah.
And then Meek Mill, "I'm a Boss." I was like, that's what we gotta do. This is the combination I want. I won't sleep till I get it.
And you did it.
And I got it.
You did it. Yeah. And I mean, it reflects in the music and in the visuals. That's
Thank
fantastic. You. Yeah. It's all coming together. It's all happening. It is all happening. Yeah, we've mentioned a lot about UPenn and your education. Just for the people who haven't tuned into previous episodes where we've talked, let's talk a little bit about your upbringing. You're from Charlotte, and you have an EP, East West, or 2 EPs, East and West, that kind of reference the duality of your upbringing there with the East side and the West side. I can't remember which is which.
West side is where I spent most of my time.
Yeah, that's where you were like raised, and the East side is where you went to school, right?
Exactly.
And tell me about the duality of those sides of the city, because I just find it so interesting. Yeah.
So Charlotte is kind of broken up into quadrants, just like every other city, northeast, southwest. The west side, particularly Beatty's Ford of Charlotte, is where my paternal grandmother stayed, and that's where I spent. Like, that's the most consistent, like, place in my childhood. We moved a lot around the city because of my mom's job, so like that was kind of like where I was anchored to a certain extent. So it's a place that has a lot of great memories for me, a lot of like trials or tribulations, like just like it feels like home. And West is reflected in that. I have an amazing rapper named Wells featured on a track called The Four, which is just like a reflection on us being from the 704. It was a beautiful time. In East, I only spent 1 semester at East Mecklenburg High School. Shout out to the Eagles. Shout out to Family Matters, which is like an East Side staple. And yeah, that EP was about me. That was like the first time I felt like I wasn't at home. I was an outsider within a home to a certain extent. And it was a direct like link or a bridge to where I was at that point in my life.
How was going to East different?
I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So Charlotte is as small and as big as you make it. Yeah. So everybody on the west side knows each other. Everybody in each quadrant knows each other, but also whatever middle school you went to kind of determined what high school you went to. So I went from one area to a completely different one.
And that's because mom moved to the East side for a while or something? Okay. So you weren't like busing over there because it was like a magnet school or something?
It actually was a magnet school. I was in the IB NYP program, but like that.
What does that stand for?
The International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program.
I knew that. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it wasn't for that purpose, but it was because we moved over there, and it just made sense for me to go. And then she moved again, so like as soon as I got used to it, I was like, we're out
again.
Exactly. So it was just a process of getting to know myself within a completely new context, and then just figuring out life. But those 2 EPs were a lot of experimentation for me as far as sound is concerned. Like, it's a little bit eclectic with how many sounds I was using. There's some trap. There's definitely some boom bap because that's my heart. There's a little bit of electronic influence, particularly on deep. And then, I think that if you listen back, you'll be able to hear all of those influences on the new record. But I think that it's executed in a way that's like a lot more authentic and genuine and beautiful, honestly.
Yeah. When you look back at old music, it always feels like when you finish it, you're like, oh, this is it. And then when you look back at it, you're like, oh, that was learning. And so the new one feels like the culmination of all the learning, huh?
Yeah. And I still think that there's like room to grow for sure, which is like the most exciting part for me. Like, there are definitely things that I would change about the record, but that's because I'm a perfectionist. But because it was this 2-week period, all of the recordings and all of the decisions that were made and all of the final cuts, they reflect those moments so well that I can't really ask for more. You know.
Are you're putting the record out independently?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are people hitting you guys up like, what are your future plans? That seems to be the record industry lingo for like, we're thinking about signing you. Are you getting those? What are your future plans?
So I was quiet for a bit after West. So right now, a lot of people are not hitting us up.
They're not expecting it right now.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm really happy about that, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I would consider signing to a label, but I really want this one to be mine.
Yeah.
Like, I want this one. So me and Ethan started an indie label called LaFleur Records, and I want that to be ours. Like, I don't want anybody to be able to say that they made that record. I want the record to speak for itself.
Yeah. Why LaFleur?
Because we are so determined to grow and help other artists grow.
Yeah.
And I think that that's reflective in how patient we've been with me. Like, me, the manager side of myself, is like, we've been so patient with this artist, man. Like, woo. And I think that what we've learned and how we've been able to maneuver in the industry will definitely help some other artists grow, for sure.
Nice. Plans for touring? Can you get enough time off for touring?
Yes, I can. Yeah. And I don't have anything on the books just yet. I think we're waiting to see how the album does for a little bit. We're very analytics driven also.
Yeah.
So
the whole game seems to be analytics driven now. It's like once a song hits 200,000 plays on Spotify, the labels start hitting them up, and it's just like, it's really like an SEO game now.
Mostly I just want to make sure that like we sell enough tickets for it to be at least a zero-sum game rather than
that's another
hit to the pocket.
That's another thing that I've talked to you about as far as like the comfort of being a responsible adult, which you clearly are. You have a job, you have an apartment, you have all the, you know, you got a life, you know what I'm saying? And so it's hard to want to like live uncomfortably for a while. And it's funny because having watched my friends the last 10 years that did the independent hustle thing, the guys where I was one of those responsible guys, and I had a job, and I had an apartment, and my credit score was good, and I'm like,
let's not even talk about my credit right now.
I was like, I don't want to like.
This album is just stressing me out.
I can help you. I got plans for on how to fix it, but you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I have it in me to like live uncomfortably and drop it all on that risk. And now 10 years later, my friends that just like lived like shit for a few years and like slept on couches and toured and played like 30 people shows, like 10 years, it took 10 years, but it paid off. And now they're doing it, you know what I mean? And they're like, so.
Yeah, no, personally, something that I've like, so I suffer, you know, that I suffer from depression and anxiety. And one of the things that me and my therapist have been doing is like talking through whether or not like this is anxiety from like a legitimate thing or from something that I'm imagining. And she's like, it sounds like you've made a plan, and if you stick to the plan, it'll be fine. So quit your job like you've been planning.
Yeah.
And like take the risks that you've been planning for, and it'll be fine. And I, being the worrywart and the overly cautious person, I'm like, so what you're saying is to follow the plan.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. And she's like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm getting like, it's literally like within a month or two I'll be 10 toes down in the indie art full time.
You want to talk about anxiety and depression?
Sure.
Yeah, I love talking about my depression. I am not as responsible with my depression as you are because I don't see anybody, and I'm also not medicating, but I just kind of like rely a lot on coping mechanisms. And I kind of I think that I recognize when I'm going through it, and then I recognize like, oh, I need to like take myself out of this situation and go do something that'll make me feel better before I hurt somebody in my life, type of thing, or hurt anybody's feelings, right? I wish I was smart enough to go get a therapist. It just seems like a lot of fucking work. So when did you start going to therapy, and how has it changed your life?
I started going to therapy. The first time I ever experienced therapy was junior year. So that was back in 2013, fall 2013. I just lost my grandmother, who was like a really, really big part of my life. in my family's life, and like that whole dynamic shift was really, really difficult. And then soon thereafter, I lost an aunt. So I was back and forth, like, you know, like kind of bullshitting because like it's college and nobody wants to like take their afternoon nap time to go talk to someone. But
was it through the university?
Yeah. So that was like on and off, touch and go. And then I had a really terrible interaction with a romantic partner. Nothing violent or like, and I'm sure like people would probably think I'm like exaggerating, but like I really pride myself on being warm. Like, and it's something that like my friends know about me. It's like what people know about me. And like for whatever reason, I was just being extremely cold
to everyone.
Particularly to this person. Yeah, to
while you
my
were going
ex-girlfriend.
through it.
Yeah, and like she recognized it, and she was trying to like figure out where it was coming from. And then she told me about it, and I was like, damn, like I don't want to be cold to you. Like I don't even realize this is happening. I'm definitely not trying to like snap on you, which is crazy. So I went to therapy and realized that like part of the reason why that was happening was like triggers and like a whole bunch of other stuff, and like just basically from early 2017. Yes, this year's 2018. Yeah, early 2017 to now, I've been going pretty consistently.
Yeah, right. Was the inspiration your junior year more of a bout of like acute depression where it was like caused by the these tragic passings in your family, or is it something that you've recognized in yourself for a long time but never took action on before?
Yeah, I just felt at that point it felt like I was not able to function. So it was like
you had to change something.
Yeah. Like from like high school was really difficult because high school is a difficult time. So you're just thinking like, oh, like everybody says high school is difficult. Like I'm a teenager. Like clearly that's the reason, but it was deeper than that.
So you didn't recognize it as depression back then?
Not at all.
Yeah, right.
Not at all. I just thought that I was normal and sad.
Yo, same. Because I used to go to a therapist in my early 20s, and you know what it was is like it got Pavlovian for me to just start crying as soon as I got in the office. Where I was like, as soon as I would see the door, I'd be like, oh fuck, I'm like ready to cry. I'm like, I would just let it all out every week, and it got to be too much. Where I was like, okay, I think we're getting too close to the source. I gotta pull back. And but yeah, I just like kind of realized in those therapy sessions like, oh wait, the way that I felt since I was like 12, that's always just been depression.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So like you kind of like downgrade it to a certain extent, and you think, oh yeah, like it's just whatever. But then I started realizing like, no, like other people respond to these stimuli differently, and other people don't like snap at their significant others without reason. So like, no, like let's talk about it. Like there was stressors not only from like the past, there were like present stressors. There were parts of our relationship that like weren't necessarily compatible, and all of that got worked out through therapy. And now it's just like trying to manage it is like kind of the goal, to make sure that like I'm eating food and drinking water and exercising,
getting sunshine,
and breathing air, like fresh air. Yeah,
the coping mechanisms.
Yeah,
you got to cope. Have you done anti-anxiety meds or antidepressant meds?
I have done anti-anxiety meds. Not really a huge fan of them per se, but
they're strong.
Take them when I'm instructed to.
Yeah, right.
I try to be
when
as
needed.
Yeah, exactly. I try to be as like manageable and coachable as possible. Try not to be too stubborn, even though I'm known for that. Yeah.
So what are some of your other like when you feel about coming on, what do you do? What are some of the things that help you?
I warn all my homies. Like I'm like, hey,
you feel it coming on, and
I'm just like, hey guys,
stay
like,
away. I need some time.
Not even like stay away, just like, hey guys, like if I'm not like answering my phone as much as usual, like this is probably why. Or like I just try to let all the people around me know that like, hey, like it's 9 times out of 10 it's not you. If I'm being annoying, if I'm aggravating, if I'm like being like short, I promise it's not you, and I promise I will apologize for it when I realize it. But if it's still a blind spot for me, so like
that's one of those things that's so hard to explain to the people in your life that like, hey, I'm gonna be a dick for a little while, and I recognize it, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I cannot help it.
Literally,
I have to tell my fiance that I'm like, hey, I woke up and I'm just like, I don't feel right, I don't feel good, so like if I'm distant today, I apologize, but I just like need to get in my better headspace.
And like I think that getting on the front side of it has been so helpful because like I think more often than not people think that it's them, and I'm like, hey, like guarantee it's not. Like I love you, I appreciate you in my life. I don't want to like jeopardize our relationship. I'm telling you right now, I think nothing that you do is annoying. So like when something that you do normally is annoying, I don't know why it's annoying today.
Yeah, it's so hard to explain. But the first step is being able to recognize that like, oh, I feel this way.
Exactly.
And it's like this mood is here, and jumping in front of it. But then my big thing is like, okay, as long as I go, get outdoors, like go. You know, I'm from LA. Fucking go on a hike, bro. You gotta go on a hike, or like go to the beach, get in the sun. You know what I'm saying? Like little shit like that. It really like can center you back and like get you in a better mood. I don't know. So what do you do in Philadelphia when it's like humid and fucking ugly out? Like, how do you center yourself?
Like there's an amazing garden called Bartram's Garden in Southwest. So go to Bartram's and hang out with some plants.
You Feel Me podcast brought to you by Bartram's Garden. Go check it out, South Philly.
It's lit. The Schuylkill River, like the Schuylkill River Park is really dope.
Nice.
I actually often go to the art museum. Like,
oh, really?
I just like get lost in the galleries and just kind of just.
Which is a perfect transition to wrap this podcast up, because tonight you're playing at the art museum.
Indeed.
How did that come about?
Somebody emailed me, and then boom. Yeah. That's literally how my life happens.
That's amazing.
Everybody's like, oh, like how did this cool thing happen? I was like, I received an email. No, but shout out to Kat Ricketts, the programming. I think she's the programming coordinator or the programming director. She's amazing. It's Final Fridays. Work Your Ankles. There's a lot of cool stuff going on tonight.
So it's like is it a weekly thing that they do during the summer or something like that?
I think it's actually monthly.
Monthly.
They do like First Fridays, which is like kind of like the museum thing as of late, but like Final Fridays is like a monthly situation. It's a whole slew of things. So DJ The Akasha will be spinning some tunes.
Sick.
Actually a Penn professor, one of my old professors, Jamie Lee Jocelyn, is going to be doing a writing workshop. Keel Lemons, which is like he's like this amazing like photographer who is like challenging black masculinity and like toxic masculinity.
Awesome.
He's doing a series of portraiture, and then little old me gonna be performing tonight.
That's awesome. That's gonna be a fun night. I'm looking forward to it.
Shout out to Skullcandy.
Yeah, shout out to Skullcandy. For no reason at all. Like
not as streaming it.
You feel me? Oh yeah, that's right. They are streaming it as well.
Holding it down.
I've never gotten to see you perform, so I'm very excited. I've seen you perform I've seen you perform in my little space that I've created for people to perform in, but I've never gotten to see you in concert. So I'm excited, and it'll be fun, and it's gonna just be a love fest. Ivy, tell people where they can find you online.
I am available online at IVYSOLE on all platforms.
Yes,
please get involved.
Good SEO name. That's the good thing about this podcast. A lot of people have very easy SEO names. Like you just search Ivy Soul, her shit's gonna pop up. She's on Spotify, she's on Apple Music, all those places that you stream music, Twitter, Instagram. Look her up, follow her.
Please follow me. Like people care about that. I don't, but like people do.
Yeah, people that pay money care about metrics, even if it doesn't actually matter at 100%. All. Because a lot of the people that actually make money don't have big metrics. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. But look out for the record Overgrown. Go look at the video right now. Like pause the podcast, go open another browser window and look for the roller coaster video, because it's so well done. So beautiful. I'm very proud of that. Secondhand pride in just watching you kill it. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it. My name is Lee. Some of you guys, my name is Intuition. You can follow me online at It's Intuition. And this was You Feel Me, brought to you by Skullcandy. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in to You Feel Me. If you want to hear more, go to skullcandy.com/music. Want a pair of headphones like the ones we used for today's episode? As a special thanks to our listeners, we're giving you 30% off your next Skullcandy order with the promo code MUSICYOUCANFEEL. That's MUSICYOUCANFEEL. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app now to stay up to date on our latest episodes.